Right now on Broadway, party bus owners are not too happy about the city's order to shut them down. They are no longer allowed to operate until August 1st, and this is, of course, due to COVID-19 closures. However, last night, you could still see them and hear them operating all over downtown. Fox 17 News' Rachel Tiede is live on Broadway tonight with why some say this just isn't fair.
Broadway is packed tonight, and we've been showing you for weeks how it seems like there's not even a pandemic when you come down here. Take a live look at Broadway tonight. Here you can see there's a couple different things that you can see here. First of all, let's talk about the mask mandate. Not exactly a uniform when it comes to the wearing of the masks, but we've also seen several party buses down here, and they are not allowed to operate if they allow the consumption of alcohol. We saw several today as well. Let's show some video of that, but also plenty last night too. Bars and restaurants under this order must also be closed to the public after 10, but can continue to do takeout. Pedal taverns have been forced to shut down for a while, but I spoke to a party bus owner today. He literally just started his business before the pandemic, and he says he is not happy.
It hurts. It really do hurt. It's just not right. And I didn't want to get into that, but that's just not right the way he's doing.
The mayor's office says it's happy with everyone that did comply and directed us to police for enforcement updates. We did not hear back from police. Health department said it was not aware of any citations or complaints from bars, restaurants, and buses not following the rules. Now, I should mention the buses that were down here tonight, it's unclear if they were serving alcohol. I've reached out to several of the companies. I have yet to hear back. But coming up in about half an hour, we're going to talk about how the transportation industry says that this might not be the end of this. If this order extends, we'll see what comes of that.
School starts back in about 2 weeks, and when it does, there won't be as many pre-K and kindergarten kids enrolled. That's because parents tell me they're either too afraid to send their kids back to school when it reopens, or they worry their little ones will struggle with learning online. Holly Kirby says, like many parents, she had to make a tough decision this year: keep her kids enrolled in Metro School or homeschool them.
Teachers and parents are both in kind of an impossible situation where none of the choices are great.
Her 16-year-old will continue online, but her youngest will be homeschooled in what's been called a mom pod or a pandemic pod, where parents create small groups for their kids to learn together.
Our idea is we keep it safe, we keep it outside, we keep the group small to a few families, and then kids get to socialize.
Kirby isn't the only parent not enrolling her kid in Metro School. The latest enrollment number shows kindergarten and pre-K enrollment is down by more than 1,000 students combined. Amanda Kale, head of the Metro Teachers Association, says when enrollment drops, so too does funding.
If a school has budgeted for more students than actually are enrolled, then they often have to let personnel go. Many times those personnel can be reassigned.
This could affect teacher jobs and millions of federal dollars tied to each student. School leaders say low enrollment at the start of the year is common, but is much lower this year after parents lost their jobs and homes in the pandemic and the tornadoes, or worry their little ones will struggle with online learning.
And this goes back to the fact that, our schools have been chronically underfunded for a long time. And that's left us in a weak place to respond to this crisis.
Community advocate Visha Hawkins says parents, though, are prepared to handle this crisis.
It's just a matter of parents doing what parents do, and that is figuring out the best way they can take care of their children.
School leaders tell me that also some parents have not enrolled their kids because they don't realize the enrollment options, such as online or even with an appointment, but they do expect the enrollment numbers to increase. For more information on how to enroll your child in pre-K or kindergarten, you can visit us at fox17.com.
Well, both ends of the spectrum are the most affected, so the young and the elderly. But for many older adults, that time right before retirement is financially critical, and this pandemic has made it even more difficult. Census Bureau data shows that over the past couple of decades, the percentage of Americans working into their 70s has been rising. Until now, since the pandemic hit, employment among seniors has dropped by about 5% more than any other workers.
I went in and started getting unemployment. It was hard.
Sandy Hausman is 60 years old, and after living through the tornado, she had a job lined up, but then they closed because of COVID. So she found another job, but she still hasn't been able to start that one either.
We were supposed to start tomorrow. Well, now it's being pushed back. Why? Because things are still bad. They're not as busy.
She says the extra $600 per week was a lifesaver, but now that's running out too.
Through this, I have lived comfortably. Stress, yes. Anxious, yes. Depression at times.
A working paper by Tulane University researchers has a lot of data, and it concluded that the COVID-19 recession has impacted workers 65 and older more than younger workers, which is the opposite of previous recessions. Last year, a Go Banking Rates survey estimated about 65% of Americans will retire broke. Many people pick up a second job during retirement to help pay their bills, but the pandemic has made that even more difficult. Financial expert Chris Hogan says if you're in this situation, you must go into conserve mode.
This is where you're protecting every amount of income you have saved or any money that's coming in, whether that's from a severance or unemployment.
He says no matter how hard it may be, you must be proactive and keep trying to find work. And Hasman said if it wasn't for that extra $600 a week, she really would have struggled. Now that runs out this week, and right now the government is working on another benefit proposal, but it looks like that number is going to be a lot less than $600 a week.